The HOA built 23 luxury cabins on my private island, and when I asked their president to stop, she just laughed right in my face. Instead of listening, she handed me a trespassing fine and ordered her crew to bulldoze the dock my wife and I had built with our own hands, so I didn't stop them. I let them keep working, watched every cabin rise, every foundation poured. They thought they'd cornered me because the original deed to my land had somehow vanished. But what they didn't realize was that I was quietly building a case that would turn their multi-million-dollar project into my retirement plan. Where are you watching from? Tell me below, because you won't believe their expressions when I finally pulled that deed out in court. And if you think no HOA bully should ever steal a family's legacy, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the moment their entire empire collapses. That morning began just like any other. I stood on the dock, a mug of hot black coffee warming my hands as a thin mist drifted off the lake. The quiet out there wasn't just silence, it was the kind that seeps into your bones and settles your soul. After 35 years as an army engineer, I had earned this kind of stillness. This little stretch of water and pine was the only place that had ever truly felt like home. My wife, Helen, and I had built that dock ourselves, plank by plank, the summer I came back from my final deployment. Every nail held a memory. Then I heard it, a low mechanical growl echoing across the lake. It wasn't a fishing boat. It was the heavy, angry rumble of diesel engines clawing through dirt. I set my mug down and looked up. A convoy of construction trucks appeared through the haze, bulldozers, flatbeds carrying prefab walls, a cement mixer, all rolling straight over the old causeway that connected the mainland to my island. My island. My father had bought it back in 1954, a 7-acre slice of granite and green that he called his splinter of heaven. It was passed down to me, listed in my name on the tax bill, marked on county maps for nearly 70 years. I walked to the edge of my yard, where the water lapped against the stones, and watched them drive on like they owned the place. The first truck, a big Ford with Maple Shores Community Association printed on the side, rumbled ashore without slowing down. At first, I wasn't angry, just confused. Maybe it was a mix-up, a driver who'd taken a wrong turn or a surveyor reading the wrong map. I grabbed my old John boat and crossed the 30 yards of water that separated my property from theirs. By the time I reached the island and stepped onto the gravel path, a woman was already waiting for me. Mid-50s, crisp khakis and a polo shirt bearing that same Maple Shores logo. She held a clipboard like it was a weapon. "Can I help you?" she asked, her tone making it clear she didn't intend to. "I'm Jack Rains," I told her. "I own this island." "I think your crew's made a mistake." She checked her clipboard, then looked up with a small, smug smile. "No mistake, Mr. Rains. I'm Karen Hensley, president of the HOA. This is designated common property. We're beginning construction on Phase 3 of the Maple Shores expansion." I just stared at her, like she'd started speaking another language. Common property? This land had been in my family for 3 generations. She tapped her clipboard with a manicured nail. "According to our updated plat, the island has been incorporated into the community plan. We're building 23 rental cabins here. It's going to be a wonderful amenity for our residents." It took everything in me to keep calm. Engineers don't solve problems by shouting. "Ma'am," I said evenly, "your plat is wrong." "I have the deed. I'd be happy to show it to you." And that was my first mistake, thinking I had to prove something that was already mine. I went home, my mind racing faster than my heartbeat. The moment I stepped inside, I went straight to my old filing cabinet. Helen had always handled the paperwork. She was meticulous, everything labeled and sorted. But when I looked for the island deed, the folder wasn't there. I tore the office apart. 3 hours passed as I pulled open drawers, dug through old boxes in the attic, checked the safe, even rifled through files that hadn't been touched in years. Still nothing. A cold weight settled in my stomach. Without that deed, my claim was just a story no one would believe. A week later, a certified letter arrived in the mail. It was from the Maple Shores Community Association. I opened it, hoping it was some sort of apology or correction. Instead, it was a bill, an encroachment fee for unauthorized use of HOA land. They were charging me $250 for the fire pit and 2 chairs by the shore, on my own property. They were building on my land. And sending me a bill for standing on it. That's when the anger started, slow, steady, burning deep. But this wasn't just about dirt and property lines anymore. This was about Helen. That island was ours. We'd dreamed of building a small cabin there someday, a place for our daughter Dana and the grandkids. The dock they were about to destroy wasn't just wood and nails. It was our first project together. I remembered her laughing when I missed a nail, her voice echoing over the lake. The smell of pine, the feel of her hand slipping into mine as we watched the sunset, our feet dangling over the edge. The next morning, I went back. The hum of chainsaws tore through the stillness of the lake. Karen was there again, barking orders at a man holding blueprints. "This has to stop," I said, my voice harder this time. "You're on private property. You're destroying something my late wife and I built. I'm asking you politely to pack up your gear and leave." She turned toward me with that same calm, condescending look, like I was a child she had to humor. "Mr. Rains," she said in a soft, patronizing tone, "I understand this is emotional for you, but you need to look at the bigger picture. Once our beautiful cabins are finished, your property value will double. You should be thanking us." That was the moment I knew logic wouldn't reach her. To her, I wasn't a man defending his home. I was just an obstacle in the way of progress and profit. And as I stood there speechless, she gave a small nod to the bulldozer operator. "Clear the shoreline," she said, her voice cutting through the noise like a blade. The operator hesitated, gave me a quick, uneasy glance, then did as he was told. The machine roared to life, its steel blade lowering toward the dock. "Stop!" "That's mine," I shouted, but no one listened. Karen just stood there, arms crossed, that smug little smirk still on her face. Then, with a thunderous crack, the first plank gave way. The dock snapped apart, boards splintering and crashing into the water. In seconds, 60 years of family history was reduced to floating wreckage, and all I could do was stand there, helpless, watching. Everything Helen and I built sink beneath the heat. Waves, my first call was to the county planning office. Back then, I still believed the system worked, that all it would take was one clear-headed official with the right paperwork to set things straight. I filed a formal complaint for illegal construction and trespassing, listing every detail: the property lines, the family ownership, the destruction of my dock. Then I waited. For 2 weeks. All I heard were the constant echoes of hammers and saws across the lake. Finally, a call came through. An inspector was scheduled to visit the site, and I was invited to be there. For the first time in days, I felt hope. Maybe this nightmare would end. When the county truck pulled up to my driveway, I was already outside waiting. A tired-looking man stepped out, clipboard in hand, vest marked with the county logo. His name tag read Harris. Before I could even shake his hand, another vehicle, a sleek black sedan, rolled up behind him. Out stepped Karen Hensley, perfectly composed as always, and beside her a man in a pressed suit carrying a leather briefcase. Her lawyer. Harris sighed like he already regretted taking the assignment. "All right, folks," he said, glancing between us. "Let's see what's going on." He listened to me first. I kept my voice steady as I walked him through everything. The history, the boundaries, where my dock used to stand. Then the lawyer stepped forward, calm and polished, like he'd practiced this moment. He opened his briefcase and pulled out a thick, bound folder. "Mr. Harris," he began smoothly, "if you'll take a look at these updated plats, approved just last October, you'll find this parcel was rezoned for community expansion. Here are the soil reports, environmental assessments, and official permits." He handed the binder to the inspector, like it was holy scripture. Harris flipped through the pages. His eyes glazed over at the endless fine print and signatures. He looked at me, a 62-year-old man standing with nothing but memories, and then at Karen and her lawyer, who looked like they owned the place. After a long pause, he handed the binder back. "Looks like your paperwork checks out," he said to the lawyer. Then he turned to me with that familiar bureaucrat expression, the one that says you're the problem here. "This is a civil issue, sir, not a county matter. You'll have to take it up with them directly." And with that, he climbed back into his truck and drove away. Something inside me cracked that day. Karen didn't need to gloat. Her smirk said it all. "We have the papers. You have nothing." The next morning, her victory lap began. A crew arrived and fenced off the entire causeway with 10-foot-high chain link, posting a shiny new aluminum sign. "Private access. Maple Shores residents only. Trespassers will be prosecuted." They had literally fenced me off from my own island. I tried talking to my neighbors, people I'd known for, but most of them were under the HOA's thumb.